So I get this comment a handful of times a week about company video game acquisitions. Not that I'm a business guy, I'm no Michael Pachter, but as a guy who's worked in product development, I see this kind of comment a couple times a week, and I want to speak to it because it's a little annoying to me. In this case, it comes from our good friend, Mr. Switchblade 327. He of the Connecticut 327s, a very good family. Switchblade was clearly raised well, but he has a really dumb point here. It's not dumb, it's misguided. He says, bro, what's up, bro? He says, I have all three systems, Joel, so I'm lucky to not be pointing, or I'm lucky, but not pointing out the obvious is just wrong. He's saying I'm not pointing out the obvious. He says, it's great Xbox is getting exclusives, but why not invest in their studios more to develop said exclusives instead of just buying out third party? Well, okay, well, sure, you should always invest in what you own. So yeah, I don't think anybody would complain if Microsoft spends some of their money working on 343 or any of the studios that they are running internally that they haven't gone out and acquired. Sure, they should do that. They probably are. But the idea of, just buying out third party like that's some small thing and that's somehow less noble, I take issue with that because ultimately every business, big or small, competes with the resources they have. It's not like Sony is like, well, we could go buy NetherRealm from Warner Brothers. We could do that, and we should do that, but that's not the noble way to do it. We need to basically, have those people quit, then they start a new company, we fund their first game, it's a hit, we fund their second game, it's a hit, and 6 years later we acquire them because we have this organic relationship. Well, Sony has proven that is a good roadmap and that works for them, and that's wonderful. And that's also what they can afford to do. I don't think Sony would feel comfortable dropping $8 billion on a company like ZeniMax. I just don't think they do that sort of thing. Maybe because they can't. I don't know. But the fact that Microsoft takes a different track, the end result is going to be the end result. If you're a small company, when we were at Bartlett Jones, we couldn't afford to pay what Naughty Dog paid their programmers. And certainly some of our programmers were, qualified to work anywhere in the industry. But we said, okay, well, here's what we can offer you. We can offer you stock in the company. You're not going to get that at Sony. We can offer you a different kind of quality of life that you get from an indie, where you're going to have a lot more control over the game and the product and your work experience because there's only 20 or 30 of us, So you use what you've got to get work done. One way is no more or less noble than the other. I mean, unless you're breaking the law. And in the case of Microsoft, they're simply they're saying, look, one of the things we don't have the great Sony management. We don't have the great Sony legacy yet we have some, but not close to Sony in terms of having worked with these companies from the very beginning, like the Insomniac guys. I'm blanking on his name. It's Tim. Oh my God, Jaffe. Nice guy in the business. The guy, Tim, him of the Connecticut Tims. Oh, don't get old. Get old, it's fun, but don't get old that way. Oh my God, Tim somebody. It doesn't matter. It's Tim, right? Holy shit. Who's the Insomniac guy? There was Jason Rubin and Tim. It's not Tim, is it? It's so not going to be Tim. It's going to be like Bart, and I'm going to be like, listen, the point is, though, they've been working with those guys since Disruptor. Ted Price, God damn it. Ted Price. They've been working with those guys. Tim. Working with those guys since Disruptor. Right? That's what they have. Xbox is like, okay, we don't have that. We have a lot of money. We have a lot of reach. Let's see if we can do business this way, right? One way is not better or worse. It's only bad if the end result doesn't work. There's some great examples. I mean, Disney acquired Marvel, and it's a very easy argument to make that Marvel is more relevant now than ever, or at least since the 60s. They're more culturally relevant than they ever have been. The people who make the Marvel products across the board are probably richer than they've ever been because of the acquisition and because Disney has brought. Well, you could say, well, yes, but that's not noble. It should have been Paramount. Well, why should Paramount have bought them? Well, because they distributed the Marvel Phase 1 movies. So they have this relationship and it's organic. Okay, yeah, but that doesn't mean it's the right thing for business, which is ultimately usually, not always, but usually the right thing for the customer. So I think there's this kind of, it's not mean-spirited, and I don't think it's manipulative, and I don't think I think their hearts are in the right place. People like Mr. Switchblade, who say, it should be a more organic process. It should be. In an ideal world, it should be. Because it's good to, buy something you already have a relationship. It's kind of like dating for a long time before you get married. But sometimes arranged marriages work out great. And sometimes arranged marriages are arranged for a very specific reason, and it's not love. Point is, there are different ways to skin the cat. And I think to go after Microsoft just because they're choosing to skin it in a way that they can skin it, if the end result is the same, which is we all get great games, whether they're exclusive or not, isn't that the important thing? Somebody could say, well, yeah, but if you skin the cat the Microsoft way, that's what we're worried about. We don't see that working. Well, you don't know that. It worked for Disney and Marvel. It works for a number of companies, but yeah, it may not work. But ultimately, then it's almost like at that point, it's bad faith, because what you're saying is they might succeed with their money, but we don't want to give them that shot. Let's have them. They can only succeed the Sony way. Well, if they say we're going to go the Sony way, you're going to wait a lot longer for games. They may not be able to compete at that level for a long time because they have to build that relationship in a much more competitive environment than Sony was in when Disruptor or Crash Bandicoot came along. It wasn't like the Sega Saturn was threatening them. At that point, I start to wonder if, from a fanboy standpoint of Sony, that's not why they're making the argument, which is like, well, we know if we tell Microsoft to behave this way, they won't win. But if we mask our tactic to make them lose, which is so childish, but whatever, if we mask our tactic to make Microsoft lose in a kind of, if we cloak it in sort of a nobility of action, like this is the right way to do it, Microsoft. If you're not doing it that way, you're problematic. We know you're going to fail if you do it that way, the Sony way, but we want you to fail. So we're going to shame you on one hand, and we're going to demand of you something that you can't do on the other. And then we're going to sit back and we want you to fall apart, because that's ultimately what we're really about. There is that group of people, and they're just a bunch of fucking morons. I hope you're well. I hope your weekend is going well. It's just getting started for me, y'all so-and-sos. Be safe, wear a mask, blah, 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 blah. See you soon.